Hello, we're back out in the garage today working on our little junker car here. Um, it's had a check engine light on for quite a while, and I just kept neglecting it and neglecting it. Finally went and got it read to see what was the issue, and one of them is the mass airflow sensor. So I'm going to walk through what I'm going to do to check it out and show you where it's at. First thing we need to do here is pop our hood. Now, mass airflow sensor, that means it's in your airflow system, so your air intake. If you come over here, this little inlet here is your entrance to it. That goes down around to this air box. So the first thing I'm going to do is take this air box up and see if my air filter is just extremely clogged. This vehicle specifically is a 2003 Toyota Camry with the little 2.4 liter engine, but the air systems are set up pretty similar. You've got your air filter inside of a box, and then usually right behind that is your mass airflow sensor. So it's similar across the board, just things like this being a 10 millimeter bolt is going to be car specific. Okay, so we've got this bolt loosened up. Now we're just going to try to jiggle this box up. We got a little latch back here. Try to escape that. There we go. Now I can take the filter out. And it's a little dirty, but I don't think that that is our primary culprit here. So easy enough to rule that out. And if you needed to see how to change an air filter, there's a bolt in the front and the back on most boxes, or like a hinge with a little flippy thing that you can open those up. You do have to jiggle them a good bit if you've never done one before. We'll just set this off to the side for now, and we'll work on getting the rest of this tore apart. To help narrow down what I'm going to be working on here, because there's tubes there, boxes back there, another funky tube, that kind of stuff. This is a sensor, which means it's got electronics running to it. So if you look right here, this has got an electronic plug. So that's a good bet for our air mass airflow sensor. And then there's another little gizmo over here, and I think that might be an air intake sensor, which is also one of the codes that's going off on this car. So I can take both of these out, try to clean them up, and see if that fixes it. So this sensor is held in by two screws here and has this electrical connector. Connector is just going to be a push down, jiggle it, and try to get it to come free. There we go. Those are usually pretty stiff, so you kind of have to fight them out. Now, these screws, I think, have got a little gunk in them, so I'm going to use a little pick and just clean them out some and see if that doesn't help us get a good bite on it. Sometimes your little screws like that can just get filled up with gunk. Okay, we're going to keep a hold of that or set it down gently over here so we don't lose it. And it pops right out. And that's what it looks like. If you look in here, that's all black completely. When we flip it over, you can see some of that silver, which means that this sensor is filthy. The air just passes through this hole and somehow, through electronic wizardry, gives the computer information. I'm just going to take this and go spray it down with some cleaner. They do have mass airflow cleaner, but I don't have any of that. I've got some carbon choke cleaner, which should be safe on this. Okay, so we got it sprayed off. I used a little brass wire brush and cleaned off some of that dirt. So you can see now both sides it's shiny. We sprayed down into it a little bit. We're going to go let that sit off to the side for a minute and pull our other sensor out of there and see what it looks like. Here's a little better view of this little guy that we're working on. It has another connector back here. Same type of thing. You're going to push down on it and jiggle a little bit until it comes free. There we go. You're pushing down on this tab. Now this one has an extra little hose running to it. We're going to pinch the clamp and move it back. And if we get lucky, this little hose will just come right off. There we go. Some of those might get stuck on there really hard and you'll have to fight them. Now this has got a little screw right here. We're just going to loosen it up and take this new sensor out. Or sorry, different sensor out. This one, there's no visible sensor on it. So what I'm going to do is just spray into each of the holes here and let that cleaner work its way through it a little bit. Try to jiggle it around in there and stuff. We're ready to go ahead and drop our sensor back in here. And luckily, this one can only go one way because of the way the bolts are on there. I wanted to mention too, some of these, instead of it being a probe like that, they're a circular thing with like a honeycomb pattern in them. And those you would definitely want to get the actual mass airflow sensor cleaner. They also make an electrical parts cleaner, which probably would have been better than the carbon choke. These just pop back in, try to get it lined up with your little screw. Whoops. I'm going to leave that just a little bit loose so I can make sure to move this one around if we need to. Go ahead and snug your back one down and snug the front one. And it's time to rehook your electrical connector. That's it. Now I'll go ahead and get this one done. Remember, it's got this little probe piece that goes in there. So you're gonna stick my head in your way. Here, we're gonna line it up, shove it on there. Okay. Take your little screw, mount it back up, and try not to drop it. Snug that down good. Now you can get this hose put back in. You're just going to line it up on that piece and start pushing. And then you grab your little clamp. This one's loose enough that I can just do it by finger, which is super convenient. But most of the time, you're going to need a pair of pliers for those. And then you just pinch it with the pliers. Take your electrical connector and pop it back on. To reinstall our air filter, we're going to make sure we got the dirty side. Well, here, we'll tap that out a little bit and get some of the flies and little bits of gross dirt out of it. We're going to make sure we put dirty side down, lift this back up, and slip it in there. Now, because this has got the little hinge posts back here, we've got to bend and maneuver that thing back into position, which some of them go a lot harder than others. And then you just start tightening it in. And in a perfect world, we'd run this around a little bit and go see if it cleared that code up. But because there's several codes on this vehicle, which I'll work on here over the next several days, all we can do now is install it, and we'll have to wait and go get it tested later. But that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.